Trying to turn my mic on. I can't eat it now. I'll take it later, though. Okay. Okay, so this is what I want you to do, just as an application, and I meant to do this and I ran by it. I want you to take your sequence and somebody's sequence in your squad and do the controlled movement piece with, okay? This is just you doing it with somebody in your squad and working the controlled movement piece with, okay? Okay. Who wants to give me your example and just talk it? Okay, MG? So I want you to use you and the other one, right? I don't know if I was clear with the instructions, but okay. CERO, okay?
And then Ford, my son, is CORE.
CORE, okay? So we're going to do this. Well, I'm going to show in blue which one. Go ahead.
So in the first position,
Yep.
Myself.
Okay.
The second position, also myself.
Okay.
And then the third position, my son.
Yeah. Good.
He rarely gets to that third position.
Already.
He rarely gets to the third position. Very
Mm-hmm.
with me,
Mm-hmm.
but to the extent that, I don't want to crush his spirit.
Right.
He gains control in that way from where he gets emotionally, because when he gets all the way over to the right, it's very dramatic, and, there's no denying he needs help coming. He needs to be lit up.
Yeah. Yeah.
From having put him there.
Good. David, can you, I'm going to put you up there and just sort of, you and who you said, I don't know if you want to say who that person is, but that's up to you. You don't have to, but.
To myself, O-C-R-E. And my wife is C-O-E-R.
Okay, so let's go through the control piece in the first position.
Myself
Okay.
and my wife is the second and third.
Okay. And then tell the class what you sort of call it a core moment, what you got from that.
So when I was doing this earlier, I was thinking through it, I realized that if we are both in our first position, I temperament is more control. But if either of us are in any of the other positions, she is more in control. And in thinking about that, I realized when I feel most respected by her is when we are both in the first position. And if I'm somewhere else or she's somewhere else, then as I think about specific moments, I very easily feel that she's disrespecting me as her husband. When she is in control or I get out of control.
Yeah. And then I talked to David really quickly, just the nuance of OCCO, and I don't want to get into that. I just said, hey, this is how you miss from a communication perspective. So this will be like David and Tim. And I said, hey, this OC, the way you communicate could be more rigid, stingy, and bossy than what she likes. And what did you say?
So my daughter is just 6, but I believe she's probably a C first as well. And so my wife will often tell me that I be too rigid or demanding with my daughter, although she never says that about how I speak to her. So she often knows how I speak to my daughter.
So it goes back to some parenting communication, right? So remember, see, people really sometimes will take it for themselves, but they'll take up for somebody else. So mama's saying, hey, you can maybe talk that way with me, but I'm not going to let you what? Talk that way. So anyway, that's really interesting. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. All right, so we're going to cover, I have 2 modules, and we've let you out every day, but we really want to cover these 2 modules. And I know it's Friday, but I'm not trying to blow through this at all. And I'm not, if you guys can be patient with us, because so we're going to talk about part 3 of movement. What module? I got it. Okay. So we're not trying to make you an expert of movement, because we're putting a movement tool on the digital training platform where there's going to be an audio of me, so we're talking that. Then we're also saying, hey, this is what that looks like. As I've said before, where we really want to go is, it's great to recognize it. We do that in the suicide awareness training. We have, 2 or 3 slides that say this is what this could look like, this could look like, this could look like. So I'm not trying to say that's what we're trying to do here. I'm just trying to say, we're just trying to get you to recognize where somebody looks like and why, and maybe you can help them in that area. Like I've already shared you an example of what my daughter looks like. If I come home, her room's messy, she's CE in the middle, and that's just a signal that things aren't good. I've also shared with you, if I go home from a trip like this and Stephanie's done a task list and she's third, that just means that she's probably had cumulative stress this week, and she's at the point where now she's really making what she really does is get my daughter to make the task list for her, right? That's how that really works in the Cook Squad. It's not bad. It just means that I know where my family is. That's all we're trying to say with recognition. And if we recognize that, then it lets me as a dad and as a husband come in like, okay, I sort of have a better idea of where my family is and what do we need to do as a family to do that. So bring them to base. So we want to remember, so I can be in second position or third position. So what I want you to do is take out a piece of paper very quickly. For you, just take out one piece of paper. And I'm going to have you write green, yellow, or red. I'm going to ask you right now, with what's going on with your work and your family, like as a person, this is just a Polaroid snapshot of you. Where are you? Are you in first position, second position, third position? Are you in green, yellow, or red as an individual? I want you to do that right now. So what? Subjective, there's a lot of variables, I understand that. But where are you right now? I mean, you could be here, but you got tons of stuff going on, right? How do you feel? Did Joe leave? So I was in Iraq, and the question I just asked you after teaching soldiers for like 20, 30 minutes, say, hey, this is what I think about green, yellow, red. Where are you? And I had a soldier who says, man, I'm in yellow. And I said, hey, what does it take to get you back to green? He's like, man, I like to swim. I was like, well, you're screwed. I mean, that's really what he told me, right? And yeah, there we are in Mosul. Is he going to swim any? He will only swim if he flies out and he goes somewhere at Air Force Base where they have a pool. That would be the only time in and out. That's what helps him. Okay? So we had to sort of think through, not in a solution-focused counseling way, but like, hey, that doesn't work. So you got to find something else to sort of do something to get you back to green. Okay. So we have six greens, and one of the greens says asking daughter to teach mom gives a sense of purpose. So I don't know what that means. And I have 3 yellows. Okay. So a third of our group's in yellow position, which is, I'm not afraid of that. It happens, right? I believe a lot of us live more in our second position than our first position a lot because of all the things that we have going on. But for you who are green and you're yellow, let's just talk as a group. What is the 1 or 2 things to help you sort of relieve stress or to chill out? Or it may be for you having your devotions and praying. It may for me, it's running. Well, let's just talk really quick because I just want to be really practical. Let's just go around the room. What are the things that sort of do to sort of bring you back to like I'm in a good place, right? When things are in yellow. So I just told you mine. I like to run and I like to be with my family. Like that helps me. We're going to go around the room and just everybody share, okay?
For me, being in green, it's doing this right here. Like I love the impact that I have on people. So if I'm going through a stressful day and you put me in front of a classroom and I have to teach, I don't know if it's deflection, but I know it take me to a different place.
Good. There's no rhyme or reason here. We're just going to go around.
Socially with my family, contemplatively, reading and praying, physically, just doing yard work.
Okay.
Yeah, I like yard work, something, anything with an end.
With an end?
With an end, something I can feel like I accomplished something. I mean, being a staff officer, a chaplain, you never get to see the end of your work. So I like to accomplish something and be able to look back at something that I did.
You got something that you did that you felt that way? Like give an example of an end, of something you can do that's an end.
Yeah, so I have a lot of things breaking around my house. I don't know what it is. God knows I'm stressed, so he broke a lot of stuff. I don't know. But fixing things, tangible.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, no kidding. Hey, no, we're laughing, but that's
It's my
good.
ministry to you.
Good. That's good. Yep.
I am a physical processor.
Mhm.
So running, music, but then like physical labor also, just being physically active allows me to do something with my thoughts and help settle my soul.
Yeah. Good.
But visible progress, something tangible, is always satisfying for sure, which I think is part of a run. You get done with a run. Okay, I just did 8 miles. That was my pace. And so there's an immediate a sense of completion.
Make sure you get to watch the work.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
good.
did 6 miles.
All right. Somebody else. Good.
Working out, reading my Bible, just doing nothing with my family there. That's probably the best, right? Like my kids are watching some goofy cartoon on TV and just sitting beside them with my arm around them is like the most bestest ever.
I like that.
That's that's the best. Nothing with just being right beside them. It's the ultimate.
Cool. Cool. Great.
So mine's the same, only by myself, nothing by myself, not in a familiar place.
Yeah.
So with not somebody there. Yeah. That
Being by
couple-
yourself is what gets you green.
in a familiar place where I can just, whether it's reading my Bible or play guitar or whatever I want for 2 hours by myself in a familiar place.
Good.
I'm kind of like with Patrick. I want to see something's finished. I have 15 projects going, but I want something. I mean, I will look out the yard and say, oh, it'd be easier for me to go rake the leaves because then I've done something and accomplished something. I could see it.
Okay.
Let's say a very peaceful, harmonious environment with my family, as long as the kids are being peaceful and harmonious, and just kind of when I can just go to my nothing box and just be surrounded by them and just kind of chilling out. And then probably the second thing is looking at MG in that shirt. That just makes me happy. It's awesome.
All right. And Jeff.
MJ, you make me happy too. So PT, my wife and PT, double bonus, and doing something productive, whether it's counseling, it's something where you feel like you're successfully contributing something. So
Great. So I want to spend time doing that because some of you are yellow, 3 of you are yellow, and maybe that's something you can do, whoever that is, to help you get back there. And I understand that you can't always stay green. But if you only have 1 green day a month, if we can sort of talk that language, how are we doing? If you have 29 yellow days and 1 green days, where do you think you're going, red or green, for the month? You're probably going to end up starting to bleed more yellowish red, or is that orange, right? So sometimes do the things, be selfish, do the things for you, get you back, because all of us, whatever our sequence is, I think it's better for us health-wise. So with, I call my family the Cook Squad, and I've called that for years. We're a squad. It's just called a Cook Squad. And I go around my table, or we're sitting in the living room, it's like, hey, do you have a thumbs up day, thumbs down day? Do that with all of our family. Do I really care where their thumb is? Not really, unless my girl's every day is having a thumbs down day for 7 or 8, 9 days, and there's something there. Just trying to create a dialogue. She's at 3 o'clock. I'm not saying, hey, let's get you back to green. I'm just trying to say what would get you to 2, or what happened. And that's really something that I do all the time. My 18-year-old is sort of now tired of it because I've been doing it for like 16 years with her. But guess what she may do when she gets married and has children? She may pick up the thumbs up, thumbs down thing. It's just a gauge. Simple gauge, create a dialogue as a family. Is it important that we all know if one of our squad members is thumbs down?
I think it's also important to get them to open up about it too. So we can recognize it. We can recognize it, but the older I get, the more I realize that the value of a question is asking the question, not necessarily even the answer. And so I may know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question because I want you to engage that question. And so obviously you're in your red. I want you to recognize so that you can do whatever work you need to do and have that self-awareness of everything else too.
Yeah. So Ceci's, we've chosen for Ceci to do virtual training. She's a senior at the high school, but we've chose virtual training, and Ceci will probably come to our Fort Hood training that we're doing. We're doing First Cav, and not next week, but the week after this. And Ceci, well, I've talked this for years with Ceci. So she's learning yellow red. She's learning what she looks like, right? And she knows now what I look like. So if I'm up and she sees my Warno signals that I'm yellow, she knows what? Poppy, that's not true, right? You're not really there. So beginning to talk this language is important. So some of you consider leaving this weekend and doing those things that you just suggested. So let's talk about bring to base. So we want you to address each letter from right to left, one at a time. Time matters, okay? And exposure to dislikes over time increases the likelihood of negative movement. And so because Bobby and Rebecca are here and they're married, I'm just using them as an example. Okay? So what we're saying on the third one, exposure to dislikes. So if Bobby has more RO days with Rebecca and he never gets green, he stays yellow, do you think that Rebecca could move here quicker? She could move here quicker. If she's having a good day and he continues to come home RO, she could probably begin to avoid him before he even gets home. Right, Rebecca? So snapback means if it's continuing happening, sometimes you go from 1 to 3. Right? I mean, so duration, exposure over time, right, increases the likelihood of negative movement. So let me give you an example of that with Stephanie and me. I'm O-C-E-R. Stephanie is R-C-O-E. So without trying to explain it, if I'm stingy and bossy and the way I talk to Stephanie is really unkind, Stephanie can really end up being negative with me really fast. Like it doesn't take a whole lot. In her first position, she's not that way with anybody. But if I continue to do that, it just doesn't take long for her to go from, remember that conversation I had with you guys? Hey, how are you doing? And pow, she came back at me. So Stephanie could go from here all the way to here with me really quick. So this duration thing, the way our interactions have taken place, they build on each other. Sometimes it's cumulative. So if you do that, if you're negative to me and you over time, we could end up getting very angry with that person really quick. We may end up giving them a lot of mercy, grace, but we don't give them any more too much longer. And then we end up saying, so they come to me and we've already disrespected them, and you and I could be very, not kind to them. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to snapback. So let's just talk about this. So second to first position, right? So I'm OCER. So as a class, we're talking about movement, and I want to try to teach you, what we're trying to teach you is that movement is not easy, but we're trying to give you the answers. That doesn't really work. Forget that. Hold on. Bear with me. So on the screen is my letters. I'm OCER. So what we've taught you as a class is that in my second position, am I organized? Yes or no? No. Could my car get messy? It could. Could my room get messy? Yes. Do I get stacks on my desk? Yes. I could procrastinate. So if you saw all that in my life, where would you think I would be living? Here or here? If I start gaining weight, I'm just giving you something example. We don't talk a lot about this. This is where I could gain weight. This is where I could quit running. This is where I end up just not doing disciplined things, and over time, that's not good. So if you were my counselor, how would you get me back home? So I'm going to tell you. So if I'm here, I need somebody to listen to me and let me talk to them. But then I need somebody to say, hey, Rob, don't be impulsive. This is when you get impulsive. This is when you can end up making poor choices. And you need to consider coming up with a plan. What's your plan? Do I need a plan? Yes or no? I do. So I need somebody to help get me back here. And so what we want to continue to teach with our digital training platform is that we want to give you answers how to help people get back to green places. And I believe that's done in a very customized way to each person. You guys follow the premise of that? Yeah.
Is that like understanding the person likes and dislikes in order to have that?
Yes, that's what we want you to use, your digital training platform, no doubt, to help me do that. Yeah, you can go back to your DDP to say, hey, are these things that you like? Oh, yeah, I like organizing a plan. How are you doing? I'm not good. Okay, how can we help you? Why aren't you doing good? Don't come to me with a O. Don't give me O answers yet, because I'm here. But you can create a dialogue with me. Like, okay, that's right. And so I just want you to help listen to me and then give me O. And then if you give me O, then maybe I can get back on track a little bit. Does that make sense to you guys? Rebecca?
Is that harder when people are so much different from you to help them get back on track for themselves? Does that make sense?
No.
Would it be really hard for me to help William get back on track?
Okay, so let's just do me and you first. Let's just do me and you.
Come to me and I'm wanting to help you, but
Yeah. So would it be hard for, I don't know. I'm saying for me, I need somebody to listen to me as a CE. I think you could come, if you could listen to me, you may not listen to me enough, and you could just get me like, hey, let's come up with a plan for you. I need you to slow down on your O, to listen to me a little bit, and then say, and you recognize, hey, you're like me, Rob, you need an O, you need a plan, right? I'll call you tomorrow, see if you're running. And then do what you say. And then that will help me get back here. Right? That's what we're trying to get you to do, is recognize where I am. And then what we're saying is, how do you help me, Jeff, get back here? I just showed you me. Just not trying to make you an expert at this. Just trying to show you something. We're trying to get me back to green. Okay, I want to show a video. Is Joe around? Yeah.
So one day I was asked to come and do some training, and in the Army, everything's training, right? So I was asked to come to do some training, and the context really that day was choices about how people lived and when they were stressed out. Most people are stressed out over issues like money and health and relationships at some level. And so I told the commander, Sergeant Major, I would do that. So I showed up, and I probably presented for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And we began to talk about how people make choices out of their sequence in those areas that I just defined. And at the end of my training, I ended with 4 basic questions. And I have found through the years that these questions are very simple, but they're really basic questions that families can ask each other, leaders can ask their soldiers, or people can ask their teams, because this is where we all live. And the 4 questions that I asked that day on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your money? And you guys need to know, all you budgeting people, that just because you have a budget doesn't mean that you're a 5 or a 2. It just, people need to have money to take care of their family, and that's how they view their money. So I'm not trying to tell you how to scale your numbers, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your money? On a scale of 1 to 10, I asked those soldiers that day, how's their health? That means mental health, physical health, health in general. How's your relationships at work? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your relationships at home? So if somebody's scored 10, that means they would have 40 points. And so what I ended up doing that day is that I ended up having each soldier add up their score. And I didn't have them to put their name on the piece of paper. I folded them up and I put them in a cap that day. And I began to read the numbers out loud to everybody. Now, again, there was no names. There was just numbers. And I read numbers like 37 and 23 and 31 and 28 and 19 and 11 and 18 and 4 and 37. And so we went through about 40 or 50 soldiers that day. And then at the end of that time where I read out every number that was put in the cap, I just asked the group, what do they think? And the first question was, who is the 4? And so we ended the training. I didn't try to find out who wrote the 4 that day, but the sergeant major got up behind me and he says, I want to know who the 4 is. So all you squad leaders and platoon leaders, break into your groups and find out who the 4 is. Well, I sort of backed away and sergeant major got done. I told the sergeant major, I was like, hey, we don't need to know who the 4 is that day, but what's important is that you're having every leader to find out how each soldier's doing. Well, we never found out. We all left the training, and that night about 2300, I received a phone call, and I didn't recognize the number. It was a personal cell number, and so I answered it, and the person said, I was the 4 today, and it ended up being the first sergeant of the company. And what's really important is that we have this idea that only younger people and only people bottom of a scale of an organization are the ones that have the most problems. And I don't believe that. I believe mid-level managers, top leaders, all of us struggle in the areas of those questions relate to. And all of us can end up finding ourselves in a distressed position over time. That means life is spinning out of control. We don't know what to do with it. And I asked the first sergeant, and I make decisions out of people's sequences. And I had his sequence in front of me, so I know what kind of choices that he has probabilities of making. And I began to probe him about specific questions. And I said, do you need me to get there right now? And he said, yes, I need you to come. And so I drove probably 40 or 45 minutes to see him. I spent 3 or 4 hours with him. late in the night, early in the morning, and just sat with him to sort of work through the things that he was processing. And so it's really important that we understand that any individual, no matter what your age, no matter what your rank, no matter what kind of position that you're in, can find yourself in a distressed position. And it's those of us who need to be asking on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, those questions that have to do with the issues that cause us or puts us in a distress cycle.
Now, I understand all of us, especially professionally as chaplains, our job is to do intervention, right? And we have a lot of great tools to help you do that. Right? Can you get somebody, and I asked you those questions a while ago, a couple of days ago, whenever that did. Can you get somebody from red to green in a 2-hour conversation? Now, we don't know what took them to red, right? Some of us take a long time before we ever get to red. Some of us hardly ever get to red. So there's a lot of variables here. But if you take those questions and there's a 4 there, we talk about duration of movement. 4 is a low number. There's a lot that has taken place to get that first sergeant here. That sergeant major never knew who was the 4. Until this day, this soldier's still alive. I looked down on my book. I was on the phone call, looked at his letters and numbers, and we took off. So my job that night was to help him go from red to yellow just for a few hours, right? I'm telling you. Intervention. Kind of intervene. My first question was, what's your plan? First question I asked him on the phone. And I really drove way fast to get to his house. Did he have a plan?
Yes.
Probably detailed, thank you, right?
Yes. So let me just throw some numbers up here. So I'm a critical thinker, at least at some level. Try to teach you and introduce you to some concepts that have changed my life. This was day 3 for y'all. How would I, if I'm dealing with probabilities, how would I think that he would do with his money if he was a single guy? Good or bad? Probably not good. Now, he wants to help his family, so he needs the money to help his family. You with me? How's his health? Huh? Okay. What takes this person to red? Not in control is one. What's another one? What's their balance, class? 16 what? Heart. Very good. Let's start putting some things together. So what was my next questions to him? What's your plan? What area of his life did I start talking about? I already knew this was not good. Because I'm the chaplain. So I already knew that. So what was the next question I asked? What I didn't know. His wife said, I want a divorce. She didn't say that day I want a divorce. It just bubbled up. So my job was to recognize the last letter. And then I got to move somebody back home one letter at a time. Okay? Do you guys follow what I just said? What I've learned is that I want to move somebody back from right to left one letter at a time. So if I find somebody, I'm not trying to make you expert at here. That's why we have a digital training platform. We're trying to get you something to consider. I touch this last letter, and then I sort of start processing with him. Hey, let's talk. And we begin to talk. Was I trying to go from red to green that night? No, I'm just trying to what? Take the plan out and process with him. To get him here. And I spent a lot of time with him. Okay. So let me give you another example. I want you guys to pair up really quick. Just pair up. Pair up with somebody. I'm not trying to make you an expert at this. I'm just trying to give you something to consider. I got an ORCE, okay? 10910. Okay? 10910. Is this, oh, this is a permanent marker. I almost used it. Almost. That was close. It was red too. I wanted to use it. Okay. We have an ORCE. So what I want you to do in your group is look at this ORCE in last position. Okay. Now I have a couple ORCEs that are paired up over there, so they're going to be the experts at this. That's what I believe. Huh? Neither of them maybe have never gotten here. Okay. But do you understand that this sequence is different than the sequence of the first sergeant? Okay. So how would you, if it happened and this person called you, or you met with them, or this is your family member and you saw them in last position, sort of how would you what would you do? Remember, touch the last letter and then just sort of work back one at a time. Okay? Let me give you a hint. Do ORCEs 19-1 like to talk to people? It makes Josh look really nice guy over there, right? What's your difference in balance?
9831.
So he's 14 head, right? 13 head. Rebecca, what are you? 6 head, right? So I'm just trying to. But this person reaches out. Do they reach out here or do they reach out here to you?
That's when they start getting emotional.
That's right. So when are they going to call you? If this person shows up at your office, you better like wipe your slate clean for the day because they've waited 6 months to show up. And Josh has just gotten enough nerve to like, okay, I need to reach out. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah.
I mean,
I like talking to people.
I'm tracking. So I'm just trying to say, I'm just trying to give you some hints. So let's talk as a group, okay? So this dialogue, how would you go touch the last letter? And let's just try to get them back to 11. What would your if you walked in, what would you do? Oh, no, I just want you to talk as a group. Talk as a group. Y'all got this. That's easy for y'all. Y'all kidding me? I know. Hey, hey, Jessup, is it okay if I get a box from lunch? Are there any left? Can we eat that or is that not? Yeah. I mean, as core recon, we can get. Okay. All right, just really quick. I'm going to share a quick story. I won't tell you what I did, but you guys have some good things. My XO's wife called me and said, "Hey, chap, I need you to come to my house to see my husband." And I said, "Okay, does he know?" No. He's in the back of our porch. He's on our back porch, and he's just sitting there, and he's been there for a long time. And as I normally say, "Hey, make me a cup of coffee," and I'll come in and get it. And she said, "Text me when you get to my house, because I don't want him to know you're here." Now, some of y'all be like, "Hey, I don't know if I'm going to go." I pulled out my book. And which position do I think he would be in? Now, I have a relationship with him. Okay? So I did. Told Stephanie, I was like, "Hey, I need to go." There are some soldiers where I go quickly. There's other soldiers that I've learned, like, it's okay. This is a need to go. Go. And I said, and Stephanie gets it. Don't tell the soldiers that here's the sequence. She said, "Okay, we've learned to go." Went in, got my coffee. He was sitting in the chair. For some of you, this would be nervous. I walked out and he just looked at me. And he didn't know I was there. And I looked at him and I just went and sat down. I don't know. I think I drank 3 cups of coffee maybe, or 2 cups of coffee before he ever said a word. I wasn't going to say this that first thing. But did he know that I cared for him? Why? Showed up. Okay. So, I'm not saying that all the sequences do that. So I want to go around the room. I want to end with my ORCE group. So let's just talk about 1 or 2. I'm trying to get you to consider approaches, right? Approaches based on sequence. Most of us approach people the same way out of either ourselves or concepts that we've learned that can be really helpful. We just don't know always how to apply a concept to a specific person. And I'm just trying to say, hey, here's something to consider, is maybe you start with a person and then maybe you use some other things. But I'm trying to get you to touch the last letter and work 1 step back to get them to first position. When you have somebody in last position, I'm trying to get you to yellow or green. That's it. Okay. Your group, just share 1 or 2 things that you talked about, okay?
Addressing E, we told you this. We
I know, but share with them. Yep.
We talked. We would go ask them either, what do you want to talk about, or how would you like to proceed? How would you like to move forward? And whatever wording works best for them. What do you want to do? Giving them control. And Patrick said most likely they're not going to know. So, did you want to tell them what you came up with, Care?
Yeah, I mean, you can give them options.
Can you bring it up so we hear you?
Yeah. So their E is 0, which means they're impulsive, which is dangerous, probably why you went there quickly. But something else is that if we go to C, like what are the likes in C? It's harmony, it's peace. You could ask them, giving them control. What is, give them examples. Where are you most at peace?
Okay.
Talk about that.
Okay. What'd you come up with? Just a couple of things.
Thought we would see if they wanted to go for a beer. He's not used to being with other people or doing anything fun, but now he's in that place, and it's sort of so that you sort of take the lead on that. Just the idea of just hanging out that you mentioned. That seems wise, and let him, so it's more side by side rather than confrontational, which is a softer way to be companions. And then provided that there's some warming there, then gradually talk about more rational things. What's the reason for living? What's purpose of life? Stuff like that, if he's willing to go there. And then moving in from that to sort of a plan for the future. Probably not a 10-year plan yet, but what's tomorrow? But,
Great. I want my ORCs to sort of evaluate.
So with the OR being a sequence of respect and typically not super emotional, the fact that they're in their E is probably just sort of awkward, embarrassing, and there's some shame there. So one of the first things I think would be important is just to quickly just address it, normalize, what's going on for them, and even remind them of confidentiality. Like, hey, listen, you can let it all loose right here. It's good. It's not going anywhere. And then from there, not spending too much time on that though, because that'll backfire, I think. Then from there, through the lens of their relationships, which is, I would say, the C, through the lens of their relationships, get them thinking about some end state, some long-term plans, some structure of, okay, so where do we go from here? Where, next steps, and give them some of that empowerment, but again, through the lens of relationships.
Okay, good. And then my ORC group, which I'm saying, hey, this is a good gauge, right? I know we have a 13 head, 6 head, but so we're going to talk about what y'all talked about at first.
So at first we talked about what would that look like. I don't think either of us have ever just checked out, because at that point you just stop caring in the CE position. I've been there for a few hours, maybe a few days, but I've never.
And it didn't look pretty for you internally, most likely.
Yeah, no, I'll just leave me alone. And the house could burn down, but I'm like, just no.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me say this. They've lost complete control.
Lost complete control.
Would that
So-
be accurate, Josh?
Absolutely. So the comments of, like, I would talk to them about this, I talk to them about that, that's already moving that way. If you're all the way to the right, I'm not talking about anything. So the first thing is just caring. Just showing up and showing that you care. Then eventually they'll start to talk, or I'll start to talk. Yeah, something that shows care, that there's somebody who loves you. Then I'll start to talk about it. Then I'll start to move to the left.
So do I just show up and look at you?
Something, just by showing up, that shows care. Yeah.
Somebody said, give some options about whatever. And I'm like, I'm used to knowing what. Don't give me options. Just tell me what I need to be doing at that point. I've had it, I guess. And so just like he said, just kind of hang out, don't have to stare at me. But be willing to, okay, if I decide I want to, most of the time I'm probably sitting on the couch watching TV, but that's not where I'm at. I'm just there because the house is falling around and I'm way overwhelmed and I just need, pick something, do something and say, oh, hey, do you mind if I don't know, wash your dishes for you? You sit right there. I'll be right there, That could irritate me, or it could just say, okay, I don't have to do that now. That's one thing off my plate.
What do you think about having a beer? If he'd have brought a couple of beers over if he knew that you drink. Not saying that you do. I'm just trying to say, I just
do.
showed up. Okay. I just showed up. And
If I'm in a catatonic, just sitting, that'd be a good step to just that you brought the beer. That you showed up.
He said kindness before reasoning.
okay, hold on.
Yeah, kindness before reasoning.
Think about that. Kindness before what? I just showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is just saying, Rob, you did okay. Had 3 coffees. I never said a word. I said, no. And then did he say something? He talked. He was like, shit, Chaplain, why you been here so long? I said, I've just been waiting for you to like say something. He started laughing. Did we solve anything that day? No. I said, don't be stupid. This is not the time to make any impulsive decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. Right? That's what I would
If
tell
he started
Josh.
talking, you got him to the R.
So we just landed here. And I'm trying to say, hey, Josh, don't make any impulsive decisions. If this sequence loses anybody in their personal circle, like their wife, their children, their dad, I think that's totally takes them here. Would that be accurate, Josh?
I haven't lost anybody close to me, but I've lost control of major things that put me in that state.
He got a bad OER. And his dad was sick. And it just like, he had what? Did he have more than one thing going on? Career, money, family? I'm just trying to get you to consider approach. How do we help people to get back home? I've never met a marriage, never talked to a marriage who are both in red. I mean, who are both in green and are getting a divorce. Never met a marriage where both people are in green and they're saying, hey, we really are having a good time, but we're leaving each other. Never happens. Right? Getting back home. Sometimes we just go from touch the letter, stay there. We're just trying to get them to yellow. This may be 1 session. This may be 2 sessions. It may be your daughter. Olivia may go red and when she goes to A&M next year, right? So we just got to learn what do we need to do for each individual in your family. I believe it's different based on sequence. If you could just sort of begin to think through that and recognize that. As chaplains, you can get a lot of practice at this because you may end up using it as an assessment tool when your soldiers come in, right? It may just change your approach a little bit. You may begin to start seeing things more so than a squad leader. But anyway, let's take can we do a 5-minute break? And then we got one more module and then we'll be done. Okay? 5 minutes. Good work, group. Good work. Good work.
Keep us organized, Jeff. Keep us organized.
My arms are tired and weary, even on full display. I've tried every door in the hallway. It's just nowhere that I feel safe. See the light never finds.
I'm good.
I don't know if I can swim no more. White knuckles and wild horses. One day we'll wash up on the sea shore. One day we'll wash up.